Hello there, it's Gabby here from Confidence After Cancer, and I hope this finds you well. This week I'm talking about cultivating resilience. And what does that mean? It means that, we all go through difficult times in life. We all go through difficult, challenging times. And goodness me, there's so much of that going on in the world at the minute. But really, if you can cultivate your resilience, if you can build up your inner strength, then you've got some coping mechanisms, you've got some resilience, you've got some ways of dealing with whatever the crazy world is going to throw at you. And you can survive. You've survived tough times in the past. I know you have. And unfortunately, I'd love to tell you that all those bad times are behind you. But so many people that I'm working with, friends, people around me at the minute are struggling with so many different challenges. And I'm never going to break any confidences on here. There's a lot of family stuff going on. There's a lot of relationship stuff going on. I'm not quite sure what's going on in the world. It feels like, a lot of things are breaking down at the minute, and that can be really, really challenging. I've got some friends who are going through some really emotional stuff with their children, and that's harsh. That is really harsh for them to deal with. So whatever your situation is, I'm not going to talk about individual circumstances. I'm going to give some general pointers really about what you can do to dealing with tough times that we're all going to get. What can you do to build up your own resilience? I'm talking about developing coping mechanisms to deal with stress, uncertainty, and fear. So I've got three main areas of things that have helped me and things that help people that I work with. The first one is finding a supportive community. The second one is a tool that you can start every day with, and it's a gentle practice that you can take 3 or 4 minutes every morning to build up your resilience. And the third one is doing something that you love, creative pursuits. I'm so sorry if you can hear that noise in the background. I think a football team may have scored, and my husband, who's in another part of the office, another part of that house, it's going a little bit crazy. So I think his team have scored. So forgive me if you can hear him, but I shall carry on regardless. I'm not a massive football fan, even though my husband and my sons really are. So I'm talking about resilience, and I'm talking about resilience of keeping on going when I'm trying to record this podcast, when I've got a little bit of distraction going on. So what can we do? First of all, support groups. Now, whether this is a formal group that you might go to, and I know some of us, when we've been through cancer, maybe get invited to join some support groups, either locally where they meet in person. I've got near me a wonderful Macmillan Centre in Manchester that I've attended, where the power of meeting people who've been through a shared experience. I cannot tell you just the warm feeling that gave me of meeting people who understood, because I felt when I had my cancer diagnosis, a lot of my friends and family, as sympathetic as they were and as much as they wanted to support me, they didn't really know what it was like. So just to be able to talk to somebody else about a subject like randomly as neuropathy or some of the side effects that go with the treatment, and be able to talk, without judgment or without having to worry about how other people are feeling. My husband didn't want to hear every day how terrible and how wretched I was feeling. And sometimes you do have to put on a bit of a brave face. But a support group with people who get it, people who've walked in your shoes. We've all got a different journey, and I get that. None of us have got exactly the same experience. But to speak to somebody else who's had chemotherapy, or to speak to somebody else who's had a mastectomy, who knows what that feels like, the power of that, and you can build some really close relationships. I just put a little caveat in there to say some support groups that I've experienced online can be quite negative, can be quite doom and gloom. And that's not for me, because I think there's enough doom and gloom in the world. So just be a bit discerning. Just pick a group that feels right to you, like you would pick a friend. We pick people around us, and sometimes you think, that they maybe were right for me at that time, but at the minute they're not supporting me. I know relationships are a two-way thing. It's not just about what they can give to you, but just be really discerning and make sure you're getting the right support with all of these things that I'm talking to you at the minute. If you struggle with any of it, ping me a message and I'm here for you, and let's talk about how I can help you. The next thing, I'm talking before about the little tool and technique that you can do every day, just for 3 or 4 minutes if you want to, that can help you to build up your resilience. And I've seen this so many times, and it's a tool that I suggest to people when I'm coaching them. Again, when I'm coaching people, I will suggest a lot of things, and some of those will sit right with that person, and some of those not for them, and that's fine. Absolutely, I've got a lot of stuff that we can explore and what works for people. But of what I've seen so many times that helps people to build up their own resilience is the practice of journaling. And it sounds a bit crazy at first if you've never done it, but picking up a little notebook or picking up a blank piece of paper and just writing, just doing, letting the words flow, not thinking about what's going on in there, just a stream of consciousness, whatever's in your head sometimes. And we can all drive ourselves crazy with our thoughts, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling like there's nothing we can do. Just getting that out onto a piece of paper, and sometimes that release, the emotional release and the relief that comes from doing that is just amazing. So if you've never tried journaling, give it a go. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. Some people call it morning papers because they like to do it first thing in the morning. It's like exercise. You've done it in the morning, got it out the way, you know you've done it. You don't have to remember to, do it later in the day. If you're anything like me and you've got terrible memory, I have a little morning routine now of all the things that I'd like to do in the day. And once I've done them, then I can relax, have my shower, get myself ready for the day, knowing that the most important things that I wanted to do, they've already been done. Okay. And then the third one I'm going to talk about building resilience is creative pursuits. And that might sound a bit crazy. If I like painting, how's that going to help me be more resilient? But what it does do, it takes you away from the I sometimes call it the washing machine of thoughts that are going round and round in your head that are not helpful always. Sometimes we like to be logical about a problem and think, oh, I've got such a problem. I'm going to think about this and I'm going to come up with the answer. But, for some problems, there are no answers. If the answer is that you're afraid of a hospital appointment, if the problem you've got is you're worried about a family situation and you've had to put some boundaries in place for your own self-protection, and that's not landed very well with the person that you're putting the boundary in place, as long as you're at peace with that and you've made the right decision, there's nothing to be gained by going over and over that in your head. But we all do it. We absolutely all do it. It's a natural thing to do, wondering, could we have done things differently? Would there have been a different outcome if I'd have said something else, or if I hadn't said that? We all do that. But a creative pursuit, something that artistic that you like doing, it can be drawing, it can be painting, it can be singing, it can be dancing, it could be, anything. That some people like knitting, some people like crochet, like creating something. Some people just like creating sculptures. Some people like writing. Creative writing is a wonderful thing. Whatever it is, it's a thing for you that you enjoy doing. That's the most important thing. Nobody else has to see it. Nobody else has to know about it unless you want to share it with people, and that's great. And again, you might find a community. I know there's a group. One of my friends is in a group called the Hookers, and I was like, oh, what's that all about? And it's about crochet. It's ladies that like crochet and knitting, so they like doing all these arts and crafts and sharing patterns with each other and sharing stuff that they've made and inspiring each other. So that is a lovely thing to do, and that can build up your resilience, because what it's allowing you to do, it's allowing you to just take a break from beating yourself up about things that you can't change. Yeah, things that you can't change. Don't keep thinking about them over and over in your mind, because that will sap your energy, and that's not what we want to do. We want to be building up your inner strength, building up your ability to cope with things as they come along. And I wish I could tell you that nothing bad ever is going to happen in your life again, but it will, and that's just part of life, isn't it? As Ronan says, life is a roller coaster. We all have our ups and downs. We all have our challenges. But hopefully, if you really want to make the best of your life and have the happiest and healthiest life you can do, just let's work every day a little bit. I love this book I read once called The 1% something. And it was basically saying, if you just improve what you want to do. So if you want to improve your happiness, or you want to improve your resilience by 1% every day, think about that over a year. That's 365% of whatever you're doing. Think about your health and fitness. Start by doing one press up, start by doing one squat, start by drinking one glass of water, and you just add to it every day, little by little. We're not asking you to do anything that's going to overwhelm you. You don't have to, completely change your life unless that's what you want to do. But baby steps build up into being, into you creating the life that you want. And that's what I do with my coaching clients. We set out a vision of what we want their lives to be like, whether that's 6 months time or 12 months time, whatever, because none of us know what's ahead of us. What we do know is, we're not put on this earth to be unhappy. And so if you're listening to this, I'm just so grateful for my listeners, and absolutely means the world to me that you're listening to me. sharing what I've learned. As I say, I've learned a lot of stuff. I've worked so hard on my own personal development. I've been through some really tough times, many tough times in my life. I've been through some fabulous times as well. I've had a lot of happiness and joy and love in my life. I'm very blessed. But I don't take that for granted. And I know that, the tough times come to us all. So what can we do to build our resilience? I've got some tips, some techniques, some coaching tools that I can use. If you're struggling with anything, as always, you can talk to me in confidence. Ping me a message, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. It means the world to me. As always, have a wonderful week. Stay safe and stay sane in this bonkers world that we're living in. I love you, my darling, and thank you. It means the world.